Jane was a very beautiful woman. She had smooth dark skin that glowed, long hair that she always styled neatly, and big bright eyes that made people admire her everywhere she went. She was married, and she had 2 lovely daughters who brought joy to her life. But deep inside, Jane was not truly happy in her marriage. Her husband, Mr. Henry, was a kind man. He was not abusive, he was not wicked, he was not careless. In fact, many women prayed day and night to have a husband like Henry. He was responsible, caring, and very wealthy. He always told Jane, "My love, you don't need to stress yourself. Don't lift a finger, I am here for you. I will take care of everything." And truly he did. If Jane needed anything, Henry would buy it. If Jane sighed in the morning, Henry would ask, "What do you want me to get for you, darling?" And the next day he would bring it home in a gift bag. Yet Jane's heart was far from Henry. She respected him as her husband, but she didn't marry him for love. The truth was that Jane married Henry because of his money. Henry was much older than Jane, and his face was not handsome. He had wrinkles on his forehead. His stomach was big, and his hairline had almost disappeared. But in those days, when Jane was still in the university, Henry showered her with money and expensive things. Back then, her best friend Rose had warned her. "Jane," Rose said one evening while they were sitting under the mango tree in the hostel, "if you don't love this man, end things now, don't force yourself." Jane shook her head and laughed. "No, Rose, he has money. I can be with anyone as long as I'm not suffering. Do you want me to be broke? I can't handle poverty, I want comfort." Rose sighed, "But money cannot buy happiness, you know that, right?" Jane waved her hand carelessly. "I don't care, at least I won't be begging. At least I won't be walking under the sun looking for bus fare. I prefer to cry in a mansion than smile in a one-room apartment." Rose kept quiet. She could see that her friend's mind was already made up. And so Jane married Henry, the rich man who adored her. Years later, Jane became ashamed of her own decision. She could not introduce Henry as her husband in public. When she attended weddings, birthday parties, or meetings with her old friends, she would either leave Henry at home or tell people that he was a family uncle. When people asked, "Who is that man beside you?" Jane would reply quickly, "Oh, he's just a family friend." Deep inside, she didn't want her friends to know that she had married an old man who looked more like her father than her husband. But Henry never noticed. He was blinded by his love for Jane. Every evening he returned home with gifts. Sometimes it was gold jewelry. Sometimes it was a designer handbag. Sometimes it was perfumes from abroad. "Here, my angel," he would say, smiling as he handed the gift bag to her. Jane would fake a smile, collect the bag, and say, "Thank you." Inside her heart, she felt trapped. She wanted to run away, but she could not. "How will I divorce this man?" she thought to herself many nights. "I already have kids for him. It won't be nice to leave him like that. People will insult me, they will call me ungrateful. They will say I am wicked. What will I even tell my children?" She sighed often, but she never said anything out loud. One bright afternoon, something happened that lifted Jane's spirit. Her phone rang, and when she checked the screen, she saw the name of her old best friend, Rose. Jane's eyes widened with excitement. She quickly pressed the green button. "Hello, Rose, my goodness, is this really you?" Rose's cheerful voice came from the other end. "Jane, it's me. Oh, guess what? We just relocated back to Nigeria." Jane jumped from the sofa. "What? Are you serious? Oh, Rose, this is the best news I've heard this year." Rose laughed. "Yes, my dear, I couldn't wait to tell you. Finally, we are back home. I will send you the address later." Jane's heart danced with joy. "Thank you. Jesus, Rose, you don't know how happy I am. At least I won't be alone in this big house anymore. I've missed you so much." "I've missed you too," Rose replied warmly. "Don't worry, we'll see very soon." After the call ended, Jane felt alive again. She rushed into the bedroom where Henry was reading a newspaper. "Darling," she said, smiling brightly, "guess what? Rose just called me. She and her family have moved back to Nigeria." Henry looked up and smiled gently. "Really? That's good news. I'm happy for you. My love, you will finally have your best friend close to you again." Jane nodded quickly. "Yes, you know I'm always at home. Bored, now I'll have someone to talk to, someone who understands me." Henry folded his newspaper and placed it on the table. He walked over and touched her cheek. Jane, he said softly, if you're ever lonely, you should tell me. I don't want you to feel alone in this house. I'm always here for you. Jane forced a smile and replied, I know you are always here. But inside her, she was only thinking about Rose. She was eager to see her best friend again. Maybe life would finally feel less heavy. Weeks passed after Rose and her family returned to Nigeria. Jane's excitement grew day by day. She could not stop thinking about her best friend. One afternoon her phone rang and it was Rose. Jane, Rose's voice was full of joy. We are finally done arranging the house. Please come and visit me this weekend. I've missed you so much. Jane smiled widely. Oh Rose, you don't know how happy I am. I will come, I must come. I can't wait to see you again. When the day finally arrived, Jane dressed carefully. She stood in front of the mirror, turning from side to side. She wore a bright gown that hugged her shape and added light makeup to her face. She packed a small basket filled with fruits, wine and some expensive chocolate. Today will be special, she whispered to herself. She picked her car keys, locked the house, and drove out with excitement bubbling inside her. The moment she stepped into Rose's compound and saw her friend again, Jane's heart melted. Rose, she shouted happily. Jane, Rose ran to her and they hugged each other tightly. Tears filled Jane's eyes. Oh my goodness. Rose, you look so beautiful. It's been more than 10 years, I can't believe this. Rose smiled brightly. You haven't changed either. You are still glowing, my Jane. They both laughed as they entered the house, holding hands like little girls again. Inside, they sat in the living room and began to talk. They remembered their days in the university, how they used to sneak out to parties, how Jane once burnt noodles because she was busy gossiping, how Rose once almost missed an exam because she overslept. Their laughter filled the room. It felt like no time had passed between them. Suddenly the door opened and a tall man walked in. Rose smiled and stood up. Oh, come, let me introduce you. Jane, this is my husband. Jane turned to look and her eyes widened in shock. The man standing before her was very handsome. His skin glowed, his beard was neatly trimmed, and he carried himself with confidence. His broad shoulders filled his shirt, and his smile revealed perfect white teeth. Jane froze. Is this real, she thought. Is this the man Rose married? Rose continued cheerfully, darling, this is my best friend Jane. I told you so much about her. The man stepped forward and stretched out his hand. Finally, Jane, nice to meet you. Rose talks about you all the time. Jane swallowed hard and shook his hand. It's nice to meet you too. On the outside, she smiled politely, but inside her chest, her heart was beating fast. This man is too fine. I have been seeing his pictures online, but in person he looks even better. How, why? As they all sat down, the conversation continued. But Jane could not stop herself from stealing glances at him. Every time he laughed, every time he spoke, she found herself staring. She didn't even hear some of the things Rose was saying. When she finally drove home later that day, her mind was no longer at peace. She lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. What if Rose's husband was supposed to be mine? She whispered to herself, look at how fresh and handsome he is. And I am stuck here with an old, ugly man. Why is life so unfair? She tossed and turned that night, her thoughts restless. Henry's soft snore beside her only made her angrier. Why didn't I listen to Rose back then? She thought bitterly, why did I choose money over love? A few days later, Jane went to visit Rose again. This time when she arrived, she was surprised to find that Rose was not home. Her heart beat a little faster when she saw Rose's husband instead. Oh Jane, he said warmly, standing at the door. Welcome. Rose went out for a meeting. She may not be back soon, but please come in. Jane hesitated for a moment, then smiled. Oh, thank you. She stepped inside, secretly glad that she met him alone. She carried a small gift bag and handed it to him. I brought this for Rose, Jane said politely. He took the bag but did not let go of her hand. Instead, he held it a little longer, looking straight into her eyes. Jane, he said in a low voice, can I ask you something? Jane's heart skipped a beat. Yes. Do you want me? Jane froze. She opened her mouth but no words came out. Her eyes widened. He continued, I noticed the way you were looking at me the other day. Tell me the truth, do you want me? Before Jane could answer, he moved closer and kissed her gently. For a moment, Jane stood stiff. Then slowly, she closed her eyes and returned the kiss. Her heart raced, her hands trembled. She knew it was wrong, she knew it was betrayal, but the feeling swept her away. Soon, the living room that once echoed with Rose's laughter now held a dangerous silence. When it was over, he looked at her with a smile and whispered, You are good, better than your friend, I want to keep you. Jane's cheeks flushed. No one had ever spoken to her like that in years. Henry, her husband, never complimented her, never made her feel desired. For the first time in a long time, Jane felt seen. She stood up, adjusted her clothes, and prepared to leave. Her legs felt weak, her heart heavy, but at the same time, a strange joy filled her chest. As she drove home, she kept hearing his words in her head. "You are better than your friend." When she reached home, Henry was in the sitting room, watching television. He smiled warmly at her, but she only forced a quick smile and walked past him into the bedroom. Henry didn't notice her change. He never did. That was how it started. The next day, Rose's husband sent her a message on WhatsApp. "Thinking about you," he wrote, adding a wink emoji. Jane's hand trembled as she typed back, "Me too." From that day, the messages never stopped. At first, they were simple greetings, then jokes, then late-night chats. Soon they grew bolder. Pictures were exchanged. Words that should never have been said were typed and sent with racing hearts. And so, Jane entered into a secret affair with the very man her best friend trusted the most. Weeks turned into months, and Jane's heart drifted farther away from her husband. She no longer cared when he came home with gifts. The perfumes, the jewelry, even the expensive shoes he bought her. None of them moved her heart anymore. Instead, her thoughts were always on one man, Rose's husband, Daniel. Whenever her phone beeped, she rushed to check if it was him. Whenever she dressed in front of her mirror, she asked herself, will he like this dress? Will he say I look beautiful today? Jane knew it was wrong. She knew she was dancing on a dangerous edge. But the fire inside her had grown beyond her control. What Jane did not know was that Rose was no longer blind. At first, Rose had thought she was imagining things, but soon the signs became too many to ignore. One night, Rose noticed Daniel smiling at his phone, typing fast and quickly hiding the screen when she walked in. Another day, she found lipstick on one of his shirts, and it was not hers. Rose's heart broke quietly. Her best friend, the same girl she trusted with all her secrets, the one she had laughed and cried with in school, was now stealing from her behind her back. But Rose was smart. She did not shout. She did not fight. Instead, she began to plan in silence. The truth will show itself one day, she told herself, and when it does, I will be ready. Jane and Daniel's secret romance grew stronger. They began meeting in hotels, in hidden corners of the city, and sometimes in the very house Rose lived in, whenever she was away. One Thursday afternoon, Jane's phone rang. It was Daniel. "Hello, my queen," his deep voice teased. Jane smiled. "Stop calling me that, someone might hear you." "No one will hear I miss you. Rose will not be around this weekend. She's traveling for a women's conference. I want you to come over, spend the whole weekend with me, just us." Jane froze. "Spend the weekend? Daniel, that is risky." He chuckled. "Risky or sweet? Think of it, no rushing, no hiding, just you and me together." Jane bit her lip, her heart racing. "But what will I tell my husband? He will ask questions." "Tell him you are going on a girls' trip. Say you are spending 2 days with your friends. He trusts you, he won't suspect a thing." Jane thought about it for a while, then whispered, "Okay, I'll come." That evening, Jane stood in the living room, pretending to arrange her handbag. Her husband, Mr. Henry, was on the sofa, reading a newspaper. He looked up and asked gently, "You're packing, where are you going?" Jane forced a smile. "Yes, I'm going on a girls' trip. Just 2 days. You know, it's been long since I spent time with my friends." Henry smiled softly, but there was something in his eyes. "Are you sure it's a girls' trip?" Jane's heart skipped. She almost dropped her bag. "Of course it is," she laughed nervously. Henry chuckled. "I'm just teasing. Go have fun, but be careful." "Thank you," she said quickly, kissed his cheek and hurried out. But Henry's eyes followed her. He stayed silent, but deep inside, he felt something was wrong. Jane drove fast, her heart pounding. When she arrived at Rose's house, Daniel was already waiting outside. The moment she stepped out of the car, he rushed to hug her tightly. "I missed you," he whispered, planting a kiss on her lips. She blushed. "Stop, what if someone sees us? There is no one here. Rose is far away, the house is ours." They entered the house, laughing like teenagers. Jane handed him a small bag of wine and snacks she brought. But before she could place it on the table, Daniel grabbed her hand. "Forget the gifts," he said with a smile. "You are the real gift." He kissed her deeply, pulling her dress off. Jane giggled like a schoolgirl, her worries melting away. He lifted her in his arms and carried her upstairs to the bedroom, the very room he shared with Rose. The two lovers were lost in passion, whispering to each other, laughing, kissing, and touching. Daniel moaned, "You are sweeter than Rose, you are fire." Jane blushed, enjoying every word. Suddenly, click, the bedroom door opened. Daniel thought it was the wind. He did not even look, he kept talking. "Ah, Jane, you will kill me. You are the real queen." Then a woman's voice cleared her throat. Cough. Both of them froze. Slowly, Jane turned her head. Standing by the door was Rose. Beside her, with folded arms and burning eyes, was Henry, Jane's husband. Jane's body turned cold, her mouth opened, but no words came out. She tried to pull the bedsheet around her body, shaking like a child caught stealing. "Rose," she whispered weakly. Rose's face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. "Get up, Jane." Daniel jumped up, trying to speak. "Rose, I can explain." "Explain what?" Rose cut in. Her voice was calm, but her words were knives. Jane's legs shook as she stood, the bedsheet tied around her chest. Tears filled her eyes. "Follow me downstairs," Rose said firmly. "Both of you." Jane and Daniel obeyed like guilty children. As they walked down the stairs, Jane noticed something strange. There were voices in the living room. When she entered, her world collapsed. Sitting in the living room were her husband's family, her own family, and even some close friends. Everyone stared at her in silence. Jane's eyes widened. "Oh my God," she whispered. On the floor by the sofa was her dress, lying carelessly where Daniel had pulled it off. The evidence of her shame was clear for all to see. Rose stepped forward. Her voice was strong now. "Here is the woman I called my best friend, the one I trusted with my secrets, the one I welcomed into my home. Today you have all seen the truth with your own eyes." Jane broke down, falling to her knees. "Please, Rose, forgive me, please. I don't know what came over me." Her husband, Henry, shook his head slowly. His face was filled with pain. "Jane, I never believed you, friend, when she told me you were sleeping with her man. After everything I did for you, this is how you repay me." "Henry, please," she crawled towards him, but his family pulled him back. Rose lifted a brown envelope from the table. A lawyer walked forward. "Daniel," Rose said coldly, "these are divorce papers, sign them." Daniel's face crumbled. He tried to kneel before her. "Rose, I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. Please forgive me, I was foolish." But Rose turned away. "I gave you my youth. I gave you my heart, and you used it to play games with my friend. There is no forgiveness here. Only freedom. Sign the papers." Daniel broke down, sobbing, but the papers were signed. Rose then turned to Jane. Her voice trembled, not with weakness but with rage. "And you, Jane, you snake, I stood by you in school. I gave you my shoulder when you cried. And this is how you pay me back, by stealing what is mine." Jane wept loudly, shaking her head. "I was weak, I made a mistake, please don't destroy me." But no one listened. Henry's family stood up. His elder sister pointed at Jane. "Go home, pack your things, our brother does not need a woman like you. You have shamed him enough." Henry wiped his eyes. He could not look at Jane again. Jane tried to touch him. "Henry, please think of the children." But he walked away, his back straight, his heart broken. Days turned into weeks. Jane was forced out of her home. Her children, who once ran into her arms, now turned their faces away. "Mummy, why did you hurt Daddy?" they asked. Jane could not answer, she only cried. Her friends stopped picking her calls. Her family avoided her. Daniel blocked her number, leaving her abandoned and ashamed. She walked the streets alone, remembering the moment she had felt powerful in Daniel's arms. Now all she felt was emptiness. Jane, the once proud woman who married for money, was now nothing but a shadow of herself, and the world moved on without her. The end. Lessons learned. 1. Betrayal always backfires, no matter how sweet it looks in the beginning. It ends in regret, shame, and pain. 2. True friendship is priceless. A loyal friend is worth more than gold. Protect and cherish them before it's too late. 3. Jealousy destroys relationships, envy blinds the heart, turning love into hatred and blessings into bitterness. 4. Honesty brings peace. Being truthful, even when it hurts, will always protect your dignity and keep your conscience clean. 5. Forgiveness brings freedom, though betrayal cuts deep. Choosing forgiveness frees the soul and allows us to heal. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more inspiring stories.